If you've been scrolling through endless camera lists, watching side-by-side tests, and still feel that knot in your stomach wondering if you're about to waste money on the wrong tool, this review is here to untangle that. I've spent the last week actually shooting a mix of street walks, kitchen tutorials, and a quick weekend hike with the Canon PowerShot V1, and I'm going to walk you through what that felt like in real life. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest hesitation most people have is whether a pocket-sized camera can really replace a bulkier mirrorless body for everyday content creation. The V1 is marketed as a pocket-sized video studio, and the promise is tempting: a 1-inch sensor, 4K video, flip screen, and face-tracking autofocus, all tucked into something you could literally slip into a jacket pocket. The question is, does that convenience translate into usable quality? Or are you just trading ergonomics for a novelty? Let's start with how the camera feels when you pick it up. The grip is modest but stable enough for one-handed shooting, and the layout is deliberately sparse, no confusing maze of custom buttons. The biggest menu hurdle is the touchscreen interface, which, after a short 5-minute warm-up, becomes pretty instinctive. You swipe to toggle between photo and video mode, tap to set exposure, and the flip-up screen automatically rotates when you flip it, which is a lifesaver for selfie-style vlogging. I found the menu friction low. There's no deep dive into obscure picture-style settings unless you actively seek them out, which keeps the learning curve gentle for beginners. Autofocus confidence is where the V1 tries to earn its face-tracking badge. In practice, the camera locks onto a moving subject within a couple of seconds, even when you're walking and talking. During a kitchen demo where I was turning around to show a chopping board, the focus stayed glued to my face without any hunting. It isn't the same level of precision you'd get from Canon's high-end EOS line, but for a 4K vlog where you're a few feet from the lens, it's more than adequate. If you're a hobbyist who occasionally steps out of the frame for a reaction shot, the autofocus will keep you centered enough to avoid that dreaded autofocus moment. Low-light behavior is a mixed bag. The 1-inch sensor does a decent job up to about ISO 1600, you'll get usable video in dimly lit rooms without adding extra lights, but the noise starts to become noticeable if you push beyond that. I tested the V1 in a dimly lit coffee shop and the 4K footage retained decent color fidelity, though the shadows lost a bit of detail. If your typical shooting environment is well-at-home studios, outdoors, or well-decorated indoor spaces, you'll be fine. If you plan to shoot concerts or nighttime cityscapes as a primary focus, you might feel the sensor's limitations. Stabilization is built-in, and you'll notice it right away. The electronic image stabilization (EIS) smooths out handshake enough for walking shots, but it's not a replacement for a gimbal if you need buttery smooth motion. In my hike footage, the camera handled gentle turns and a light jog without a wobble that would distract the viewer. However, when I tried a rapid pivot, the EIS introduced a slight stretch that felt a bit artificial. So, for casual vloggers and content creators who mostly move at a moderate pace, the stabilization is a practical win. For more kinetic creators, an external rig may still be necessary. One of the biggest advantages of the PowerShot V1 is the bundled accessories. You get two 64GB microSD cards, 3 spare LP17 batteries, a copy of Canon's photography software, and an extra set of lenses. The V1's fixed 24,120mm equivalent lens is the only optical option, but the kit includes adapters for accessories like a small directional mic. Those extra batteries alone solve a common worry: power confidence. On a full day of shooting about 8 hours of mixed 4K video and photos, I swapped batteries once and never felt the camera dip below a 30% indicator. That's a solid buffer for anyone who can't afford a sudden shutdown mid-take. Lens ecosystem is where the V1 hits its natural limit. The camera uses a built-in lens that covers a versatile range, from wide-angle for vlogging to a short telephoto for product shots. You can't swap lenses, so you're locked into that focal range. For most creators who need a single, all-rounder lens, that's fine. If you're a photographer who relies on fast primes or macro lenses, the V1 won't satisfy that need. The lack of interchangeable lenses also means you won't be expanding into a broader Canon RF or EF line, which is something to weigh if you see your workflow growing beyond the V1's sweet spot. Who should buy this camera? If you're a beginner who wants to step up from a smartphone but isn't ready to carry a large mirrorless system, the V1 hits the sweet spot. Its compact form factor, intuitive menu, and reliable face tracking let you produce 4K content without a steep technical